Okay, so for this iteration, I only made a few minor modifications. I added like these little nuts right here to keep the wheels from going side to side so it'll go straighter. Here I've added extra washers on each side. That way it has a little more weight to it. The way I see it, it goes about 10 feet. So as long as it's going around 10 feet, it's fine. And the extra weight like cuts down on some of the extraneous motion, so it's less likely to spin out and go over it pleases. And I decided to put them on the drive wheels because that's where you want to build up momentum slower whenever it goes down, whenever the mousetrap unfurls, so it doesn't just snap across and just go to the side like it does if it doesn't have any weight in the back. I also changed one of the CDs. I don't know if that's the big deal. This one is disc 2, so we got disc 1, 2, 3, 4. I think I had one of the DLCs or whatever expansions. This is pre-DLC era, so. But yeah, the old wheel I had a hole drilled in the side, and I cut some of the. Here, I'm gonna go grab it. See, it has a hole in it, and it's the final chapters. This is probably extraneous information, but also I don't know if you can see it, kind of, but I cut some of the sides of the wheels, roughed it up so to get more friction, because I had problems with it spinning out before. Now that they added the weight, there's no spinning out problems, and there's no need for shitty wheels. So there's that. Undo a whole lot because it's mostly done, and I want to leave something for my final iteration. But more than that, my car's broke down, and I can't really go around buying a bunch of stuff to make it much better. Really, I need to deal with the fact that the wheels themselves wiggle too much. Remove some of the play in the wheels, and probably get a way to make the mousetrap taller, like so that it extends over a longer arc, which is kind of along the same lines as adding the weight to the wheels. And here, let's do a run of this one, and let's call it a memo. Kind of hard to do this with just one hand, and I'm probably going to snap the fishing line doing this with one hand. Okay, contrary to popular belief, it's actually better not to go all the way back, because otherwise it'll have that snapping effect, which I'm sure you're aware of. You probably know what I'm talking about. And let's see it go. Well, it was an okay run. See, if I aim it better, I think it will go straighter. It went pretty straight. I just wasn't really paying attention. So it's looking good. Floor's a little dirty, but oh well. Memo done. goes roughly 4 inches. Each of those marks is about 3 inches apart, and the one where the line is the center one. And the orange ones are about 10, and it consistently gets within about 10 inches. Unless something goes wrong. One of the hardest things is the fishing line. I should have bought better fishing line than this, but I'm not like buying new fishing line. It gets frayed eventually. You kind of see where it's a little bit bent in just one use. And then the spring will catch it and it'll tear on it. And then if you slide it, it puts little like scratches in it, and then it'll break eventually. So it's good for about like 30 uses before you have to replace a string. But other than that, it's a pretty good car. From last time, I added these little guides on the end. It's just a little nuts, and this time I super glued them, and then the centerpiece and here the little catch. It's very hard to see, but there was like a piece that was sticking out, and it was catching on the fishing line, and it was putting cuts in it and making it wear out faster. I didn't do too much to it because it goes pretty darn straight. I had like 4 or 5 trials where it like hit within half of an inch of the center line, and most of it's just human error, just like how you wind it up, how you aim it, and like I'm not going to blame the bow, I'm going to blame the archer for any kind of discrepancies in it. So I mean, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. The only thing I really could do is fix this little like wobble it has in the front ones, because in the back it doesn't have the wobble at all. And what's involved in doing that is whittling a whole new frame. And to quote you, it's too late in the semester and I just don't care anymore. So there's that. Not a lot changed from the last one. It runs pretty good. And to prove this is 10 feet, these are 12-inch squares. So from here all the way over to here is 10 feet, and my tape measure is like gone. I don't know what happened to it. Pillows there to keep it from hurting the car. And throughout the memos, I did a lot of changes to it. It first started out with just basically these little rods as the axles, and the washers and the nuts and the wheels in the CD wheels. The first try, it was not whittled. And it wasn't going very far. It was only going like 2 feet, and that's because it had this as the drive. Basically, there was a hole right here, and I tied it around that hole so whenever the mousetrap went down, it would spin this wheel, and that would drive it. And because it was tied, as soon as it got to like the end length, it would stop and it would come back. And I think I jerry-rigged it at some point to like release, but I mean it still didn't go very far. It was only going like 2 feet. And then after that I added the centerpiece, as you can see. And it still wasn't doing very well, even with the centerpiece in there. I had to find a way to reduce the amount of friction, because threaded metal on wood produces a lot of friction. I ended up having to use these little eyelets, and you kind of see them at the end, like right next to the nut. And found those at a hobby store for scrapbooking. And I have another video where I explain the addition of the second washer. There's twice as many washers on the back wheel as on the front wheel. Add some more weight there because these are the straight wheels, and I want more of the momentum on those straighter wheels. And I want it to have a more steady pull as it drives the car forward, and adding weight keeps it a little more steady. This isn't a Victor mousetrap, it's Tomcat, but you said it just has to be the same size. And I didn't paint it or sand it or anything because I don't want to spend the money on it. I mean, I'll probably spend too much money on tools anyway. Yep, that's it.